Big Johnson, Colonel Sanders looking dude. Anyway, it was a great question. I really enjoyed doing this video. Welcome to Fight City Gym Talk. You are here with Eric Wallin, and this video is for you, Big Johnson. I hope that's your real name. Big Johnson, Colonel Sanders looking dude. Great question. He said, I'm getting into jiu-jitsu, I'm getting into boxing, and I just want like a list of things that I should be looking to buy myself. So here's a video of all the things that you're going to need when you start in both boxing, jiu-jitsu, and even MMA. I get into some shin guard stuff as well. Let me show you my wall of gloves. Here is my glove wall. I try to keep this as full as I can, but I can't always keep it full. So let's go to the bottom shelf here. These are gloves that are about 50 or less that I really like and recommend. I've done some videos on both the Cheer Wing over here, this Pro Impact, and these RDX. There's two styles. There is the F4 and the S4. The S4 is a better glove. If you can afford it, I'd go with the S4. Now, these gloves over here, garbage. I did a video on that as well. Don't buy those gloves. They are super cheap, very affordable, but it's not worth it. Now, this is where, so to answer your questions about what gloves to start out with, these gloves here on the bottom shelf would be totally fine to start out with. Most people should be about the second shelf. We've got this Rival here, RDX, and this Pro Impact is the leather Pro Impact. The first one I showed was not leather. With this Hayabusa, you got to remember, this glove is leather. You can tell because it has the kind of the outline on it. And this one where it's all the way through, that is not leather. And these are really good gloves. I did a video on this one as well. I really like this glove. It feels great. Other than that rubber band, I don't care for so much. Up here on this shelf, this is where more of my competitive fighters buy their gloves from. Guys who actually fight regularly, train hard all the time. And I've done a lot of videos on these gloves here. Step up, these gloves are going to be well over $100. And this is where also really good competitive fighters will go to find a good pair of gloves. This is currently my favorite pair of gloves, RS11V. This is the glove I'm currently wearing right now. I really like that style of Reyes. I think that's called the High Precision. And I can't get it to wear out. I'd like a new pair of gloves, but they're not wearing out for me. So I'm just going to keep wearing them. And then if you go even higher, these are the gloves that are closer to $200. So we've got Reyes over there. We've got the Hayabusa Marvel, Rival, RFX, WBC Reyes, Rival, Hayabusa, Winning, Italian Leather Hayabusa, and the Wolverine gloves. So, with that being said, to start out, I would say these are some good starter gloves. That will be okay. They'll probably last you a year. Now let's talk about some shoes. So, these shoes here are my favorite, coming in at about 60 to 70 bucks. These Rivals here are really good, coming in at about 100. And these Apex Ringside and Reyes shoes come in at about 120. They're all great shoes, but you don't need to spend 120 to get a good pair of shoes. These Ringsides here are about, yeah, these ones, about 85. So, and some of these shoes are wrestling shoes. A lot of amateur boxers, even some professional boxers, will use wrestling shoes to actually box in. There's no rule saying you can't do it, but there is a little bit of difference between wrestling shoes and boxing shoes. If you're a pure boxer, just buy boxing shoes. And then I don't see anybody ever wearing boxing shoes to wrestle. So to start out with some shoes, 75 bucks, that'll get you a good pair of shoes. Let's talk headgear for a second. To get a good headgear, I like to stick with something that has the USA Boxing approved logo on it. You can see it right there. If it has that, you can wear it in an actual USA boxing bout. If it doesn't have that, like this one, this Max MMA, it's an alright headgear. It's cheap. It does not have the approval on it, so you can't wear it in a real boxing bout. But if you're just sparring MMA, stuff like that, that headgear would be alright. This is more traditional karate type headgear. Personally, I like to stay with stuff that has a USA Boxing logo on it. And to get the USA Boxing, you typically have to spend about $85. And then up here we got some groin protectors. These fightings come in at less than 50 bucks. This ringside comes in at less than 50 bucks. Here's an expensive rival. It's $115. An expensive rival groin protector. So you can get stuff for pretty inexpensive, depending on if you want to make sure that you can compete in it, or if you're willing to just get something janky and cheap just to get by with. When it comes to gis, I'm going to show you 3 different gis that are good starter gis that are less than $100. And pretty much everything I showed you, if you're not here from Utah, you can buy most everything I showed right on Amazon. So if you're like, well, where do I get it? Like, if your local stores don't have it, go to your local stores, support your local gyms if you can. But if not, like, don't feel too bad about going to Amazon. And a lot of these stores nowadays, like if you go right to the Hayabusa site, the Hayabusa site is often less or even equal to Amazon. So you might as well just go right to Hayabusa and let them have all the profit. So price check around online and make sure that, like, there's no reason to pay Jeff Bezos if we don't have to. But if you can't get it anywhere else, some of these gloves you can only find on Amazon. So with that being said, like, if you can go to the source, you can go to someone that has a wholesale account, just do it. Now, here's some gis that you can find for less than $100. So this is the Athlete. Very basic, not a lot of artwork, marketing, logos, anything on it. It's just a very basic gi. And it's a great gi. There's nothing wrong with it. It'll absolutely last the guy. Even an advanced guy could have that gi. It'd be fine. A little bit more expensive, we've got this Star Pro. It's got some style to it. I like the black. It looks good. It's got good embroidery. I've sold quite a few of these, and people that buy them are always happy with them. So I think that one looks good. It fits good. This is a great gi as well. This is probably one of my favorites, and it's Twister. This Twister gi is pretty cool. It's got some skulls. There's a lot of different designs. They have some that are a little bit more expensive, some that are a little cheaper. Comes with a bag to put your stuff in. Has some, looks like Asian writing of sorts. I don't know if it's Japanese, Chinese, whatever. Not my place to say. But with that being said, this is a great gi that, honestly, high-level guys, low-level guys, it's less than 100 bucks. That gi is going to suit you well. The other thing, guys, hand wraps. So here's a couple of my favorite hand wrap brands, and that's the Mister. They sell just plain colors. And they also sell logos or like designs. This one's got skulls on it. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got skulls. They have some that say danger. They have some that are stars and stripes. I really like them a lot. They come in at a very fair price, and they're semi-elastic hand wraps. That's what you want. It's the semi-elastic hand wraps. Don't buy the ones that are like super elastic, and also don't buy the ones that are stiff. You're either your hands are going to go numb if they're super elastic, or if they're too stiff, they're going to fall off all the time. So the semi-elastic. These Mavic ones are also semi-elastic. They don't advertise it, but they are. Stretch and comfortable. It stretches just the way that they should. And so these Mavics, they just basically have plain colors, generic colors, black, red, yellow, orange, green, stuff like that. And then also make sure you get 180 inches. If you're a small female, you might be able to get away with 120 inches, but there's nothing wrong with extra wrap. Like, you might get 120 and wish you had 180, but if you have 180, you'll just be always happy that you got 180. And I got a whole nother video on how to wrap hands, stuff like that. So I hope that answers your questions. Gloves, hand wraps, gis. Now when it comes to shin guards, that's very much on your instructor. Some kickboxing classes, you might just be on the bag the whole time. You may or may not need them. If you do need them, buy them. From a gym owner's perspective, I hate community equipment. It's gross. It's disgusting. You get stuff like ringworm, staph infection. Like, you don't want to mess with community equipment. I do everything I can to not have community equipment. So I get it. Sometimes people just don't have gloves. Sometimes people don't have their own mitts, stuff like that. But to start out, guys, really a good pair of boxing gloves, you probably want to spend 50 bucks at least. You might find some good ones for less. You probably want to buy a good pair of hand wraps, 180 inches with a little bit of stretch. You can buy decent gi. I just showed you 3 gis that you could buy. When it comes to shin guards, let me grab one real quick. I want to show you some cheap shin guards and some expensive shin guards. So, Yakao, expensive. They're great, but you don't really need them if you ask me. Of course, there is that guy that's all day, every day Muay Thai kickboxer. You probably want some, but for a casual guy getting into the sport, you probably don't need them. Also, Hayabusa, Italian leather, T3. It goes with those expensive gloves. If you want the full combo, you're going to pay for it, but you don't need it, but it would be awesome to have. These are fantastic shin guards. I did a video on these snake skins as well. These are awesome. They look good. They feel good. Everything about them is fantastic, but you may not need these. These are like $110. You don't need to spend that much. So let me show you the 2 shin guards that I really like. Combat Sports makes a great shin guard, and these feel super flimsy, but the thing is, if you have too much protection on your shins, it gives you a false sense of identity of how hard you can kick. So these Yakaos here, it's almost like they're bulletproof. They're really tough, which is fantastic. It's great. But I see guys that go blasting each other and sparring, kick, 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 kick. And then they get in a real fight. They go shin to shin, clink. So I've even seen guys split their shins open when they can kick each other hard enough. They have to get stitches and stuff afterwards. But like, that's a real reality of like how hard it hurts or how bad it hurts when you kick shin to shin with a guy. So I kind of like these flimsy ones, to be honest with you. I can still feel a little clink, and I think to myself, when my shins, boom, hit the other guy's shin, I think I need to set up better. I need to get his attention up here. Then I'm going to cut it down low. I'm going to hit the meat. I'm going to hit the thigh. I'm going to hit the calf. I'm not going to hit his shin bone. So I kind of like these, and they're cheap. So in my mind, it's like, if you go through 3 or 4 pairs in a year, that's fine. But honestly, you wouldn't. These will last a really long time. And one reason I like these a lot is you can take out the pad and wash that in your washing machine. So that's a phenomenal feature that it's like, man, if you can get 6 months out of this thing, which you're more than likely you will, I really like these. Now, these TTPs. They're better, they're more comfortable. This is an awesome one. This is the one that I personally use. And it has enough flex in it that I can still feel the sting if I kick someone in the shin, and I still have to think to myself like, gosh, I gotta set that kick up better. But it also has pretty good protection as well. So I feel like this is a good happy medium. I've been really happy with this one. I've had it for a couple of years. It lasts me a long time. And so that's a great shin guard as well. Hopefully that answers your question. A guy could get into MMA, martial arts, boxing, stuff like that, and for $300, get a decent gi, decent pair of shin guards, a decent pair of gloves, and some hand wraps, and basically have all of his bases covered. If you're really going to skimp on price, you could probably do it for like $200, but at $250, you'd probably be better off with some better equipment. And then I always tell people, with time, you know, if a birthday's coming up, holidays, just tell somebody, I was going to get you a gift. What do you want? Oh, I really wanted these shin guards. They're 120 bucks, but I can't wait to get these shin guards. So you don't have to break the bank right when you start in MMA or boxing, jiu-jitsu, stuff like that. So I hope that answers your question, Big Johnson, Colonel Sanders looking dude. Anyway, it was a great question. I really enjoyed doing this video. So guys, keep the questions coming. I love having fresh ideas for fresh content, and I also like answering new and young fighters, even experienced fighters' questions as well. So if you have anything you've been thinking about, don't forget to ask. like, subscribe, leave comments. I really appreciate it, guys, and thank you.